It's time to do my East region brackets. Let's see what kind of mess I make out of this. Let's go. What's going on, everybody? It's me again, Golden Blue Dude. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. I do videos every single day. So March Madness is upon us. I've already done my West region brackets. Now it's time to do my East region brackets. First up, the play-in game, Mount St. Mary's versus Texas Southern. This is really a toss-up, but I'm going to pick Texas Southern. That brings us to the 1-16 matchup. I'm really not going to discuss it. I think Michigan moves on. This second playing game could actually be interesting. It's for the 11th seed, Michigan State against UCLA. Michigan State 15-12, finished 8th in the Big Ten, lost to Maryland in the second round, lost 3 out of their last 5 games. 2 of those games were to Maryland. They averaged 69 points per game and allow 70.6 points per game. That's a bad sign right off the bat. You allow more points than you score. That's not good. For UCLA, they're 17-9. They finished 4th in the Pac-12. They lost to Oregon State, who was the eventual Pac-12 champion in the tournament. They do have 4 losses in a row, but they score 72.8 points per game and allow 68.5 points per game. I'm going to give the edge to UCLA. Now we're at a great 8-9 matchup. LSU, who's 18-9, against St Bonaventure, who's 16-4. LSU scores 82.1 points per game. That's a lot. And allows 75.3 points per game. Not good. 2-5 against the top 25. Finished 3rd in the SEC and lost in the SEC championship game in the tournament to Alabama by 1 point. For St Bonaventure, they score 70.5 points per game, but allow just 60.4 points per game. A great defense. Haven't played a top 25 team this year. They finished 1st in the A10 in the regular season, and they won the A10 tournament. They've won 6 out of the last 7. LSU's BPI ranking is 24th, and St Bonaventure's BPI ranking is 28th. I went back and forth on this, but I'm going to have to go with the underdog, actually, St Bonaventure. They are on fire. They're playing with a lot of confidence. They finished 1st in a really good conference and won the conference tournament. LSU had a pretty good showing in their own tournament. I just think their defense will let them down. Give me the Bonnies. Next is that crazy 5-12 matchup that we look for. The 5 seed Colorado is 22-8. The 12 seed Georgetown is 13-12. Colorado is 3-1 versus top 25. Georgetown is 3-4 against the top 25. Colorado averages 73 points per game and allows 63.3 points per game. Georgetown scores 71.4 points per game but allows 70.7 points per game. That's not good. Colorado finished 3rd in the Pac-12 and lost in the Pac-12 championship game. They were on a 6-game winning streak. Georgetown finished 8th in the Big East, but they did win the Big East tournament. That's how they got in. And they did win 6 out of the last 7, so kind of hot right now. Colorado's BPI ranking is 17th. Georgetown's BPI ranking is 63rd. I cannot pick the 12 upset here. I'm going with Colorado. Next up is the 4-13 matchup. The 4 seed Florida State against the 13 seed UNC Greensboro. Florida State finished 16-6. UNCG finished 21-8. Florida State averages 78.9 points per game and allows 70.3 points per game. UNCG scores 73.6 points per game and allows 67.4 points per game. I was tempted to pick the upset here. Florida State is 2-0 in the top 25. UNCG hasn't played a top 25 team. Florida State finished 2nd in the ACC and lost in the championship game in the ACC tournament. UNCG finished 1st in the Southern Conference and won the Southern Conference tournament. Florida State won 3 out of the last 5. UNCG won 6 out of the last 7. I'm telling you, I really thought about it. Florida State's BPI 21, UNCG's 89. But I'm going to stick to my gut here. I'm going to take the Seminoles. Next up, the 6-11 matchup. So I already got UCLA beating Michigan State. So this is going to be the 6th seed BYU against the 11th seed UCLA. BYU 20-6. They score 78.7 points per game and allow 68.5 points per game. 1-3 against the top 25. They did hold their own against Gonzaga. They lost in the WCC championship game against Gonzaga. I've already ran through UCLA's stats. I just think BYU is the better team. I'm going to go with the Cougars. Next up, the 3-14 matchup. This was more interesting than I anticipated. The 3 seed Texas against the 14 seed Abilene Christian. Texas finished 19-7. They score 75.2 points per game and allow 68.8 points per game. They're 7-6 against the top 25. They finished 3rd in the Big 12, but they did win the Big 12 tournament. 6 straight wins they finished with, including Oklahoma, Texas Tech, and Oklahoma State, and of course the forfeit by Kansas, but it's still a win. For Abilene Christian, they score 77.6 points per game, but allow 60.5 points per game. That's a good defense. They're 0-1 against the top 25. They finished 2nd in the Southland, but they did win the Southland tournament. Texas BPI 22, Abilene Christian's BPI 82. I know in my live show I picked Texas, but after looking this over, I think I'm going to pick the upset here. I'm going with Abilene Christian. Next up, the 7-10 matchup. The 7 seed UConn against the 10 seed Maryland. UConn finished the season 15-7. They score 72.5 points per game and allow 64.6 points per game. They finished 3rd in the Big East and lost in the Big East semifinal in the tournament. But they were on a 5-game win streak before that loss, including winning 7 out of the last 8. For Maryland, they finished the season 16-13. That is not good. It scores 68.8 points per game and allows 65 points per game. You are seeing why I did not have Maryland in the tournament. 4-7 against the top 25. They finished 8th in the Big 10, and they finished the season losing 3 out of their last 4. UConn's BPI is 15. Maryland's BPI ranking is 43rd. I'm going to take the Huskies. No hesitation. Give me UConn. Finally, the 2-15 matchup. The 2 seed Alabama against the 15 seed Iona. Alabama finished the season 24-6. They score 79.6 points per game. A great offense. Allows 69.8 points per game. Not a great defense, but not a bad one. 1-3 against the top 25. That one surprised me. They finished 1st in the SEC, and they won the SEC tournament. They are currently on a 6-game winning streak, including winning 9 out of their last 10. For Iona, they finished the season 12-5. They score 72.2 points per game and allow 65.9 points per game. They haven't played a top 25 team. They finished 3rd in the MAAC, but they did win the MAAC tournament. They are on a 6-game win streak as well. Alabama's BPI ranking is 9. Iona's BPI ranking is 138. There is no way I am picking the upset here. Alabama rolls. On to the second round matchups. We have the 1 seed Michigan against the 9 seed St Bonaventure. Michigan finished the season 20-4. They score 76.3 points per game and allow 65.4 points per game. They're 6-3 against the top 25. That's pretty good. They finished 1st in the Big 10, but they did lose in the Big 10 semifinal. Problem is, 3 of their losses came in their last 5 games. We already know St Bonaventure is dangerous, but are they dangerous enough to beat Michigan? Michigan's BPI is 6. St Bonaventure's BPI is 28. I think that's close enough for a second round upset. Give me the Bonnies. Next up, the 5 seed Colorado against the 4 seed Florida State. Even though Colorado's BPI is just a little bit better than Florida State's, theirs is 17, Florida State's is 21. I've seen how dangerous Florida State is. Colorado does not play in a great conference. I think Florida State has been tested more. I think offense will win this game, and Florida State has the better offense. I'm going with the Seminoles to get to the Sweet 16. Next up, the 6 seed BYU against the Abilene Christian to get to the Sweet 16. I gave Abilene Christian the upset over Texas, but BYU is a better team than people realize. They get overshadowed by Gonzaga because they play in the same conference. I think BYU has enough to get to the Sweet 16, so they will benefit from Abilene Christian upsetting Texas. BYU gets to the Sweet 16. Next up, the 7-2 matchup. 7 seed UConn against the 2 seed Alabama. This could end up being one of the best games in the second round. UConn's BPI is 15 and Alabama's BPI is 9. UConn has a little bit better of a defense, but Alabama has a much better offense. So I think the balance favors Alabama. So I'm going to continue to roll with Alabama into the Sweet 16. Our first Sweet 16 matchup, the 9 seed St Bonaventure against the 4 seed Florida State. I do like Florida State. I like them getting to the Sweet 16, but St Bonaventure is playing with a lot of confidence. Their BPI is much higher than people realize. A10 was a really good conference. I think St Bonaventure is going to surprise a lot of people, including Florida State. Give me the Bonnies, get to the Elite 8. Last Sweet 16 matchup, the 6 seed BYU against the 2 seed Alabama. BYU is better than what people realize, but I think Alabama's offense is clicking on all cylinders. They hit a bump in the road against Arkansas a while back, but since then they are on a complete roll. I don't think BYU's defense is good enough to stop that Alabama offense. The Crimson Tide keeps rolling to the Elite Eight. So the Elite Eight matchup is the 9 seed St Bonaventure against the 2 seed Alabama. Y'all know by now I love the Bonnies, but I don't love them enough to take them over Alabama. Alabama is a really good team. They were solid in the SEC. They won the regular season. They won the SEC championship. Alabama has championship caliber players on their team. St Bonaventure has the confidence to get them to the Elite Eight, but they cannot match up with the players Alabama has. Alabama rolls to the Final Four. So I've done the West region and I've done the East region. So one half of my brackets done. Now all I have left are the South brackets and the Midwest brackets. I will get them done before the first tip-off of the playing games. So stay tuned. That's all I got for you for this show. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you on my next show.